What's going on, awesome people? Welcome to another episode of Awesome People, the Instagram live series. It is Thursday, December 30th, and we are literally minutes away from putting 2021 behind us and looking forward to a year that I hope is going to be filled with nothing but amazing moments and good health and laughter and joy in 2022. If you're joining for the very first time, I've had the pleasure of doing these lives pretty much daily this entire month. And it's been a great experience. It's been awesome having conversations with the most awesome Persian entrepreneurs, artists, creators, and just really great people doing some pretty special things around the world. And today at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we're having an amazing guest. His name is Yaya Gorbani. He is a really interesting individual in many degrees. You might have known him from the Nomad Led podcast with Erfan, produced with my friend Navid, he's a registered associate therapist, he's a psychotherapist. He's going to explain what that is. He's also a depth life coach, and he's a Kundalini Yoga Teacher. So multifaceted, hyper intelligent, and I'm just looking forward to having a conversation with him about unity, about love, about kindness, about patience, all the above that I know that he preaches all the time. So I just felt like we're so aligned frequency-wise, and I'm looking forward to having him on the conversation slowly. So Yaya, whenever you get a chance, feel free to click that request to join, and in just a couple of minutes, we'll bring you in and we'll have a great conversation, heart to heart. Before I continue, I want to thank everybody who joined us last night for the Zendegi Persian music live stream. Truly appreciate it. We did hit some technical issues the last hour of the evening, but I don't even want to talk about it. Overall, I appreciate the love, the kindness, the support, and being a part of the musical live stream that we had, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And I've been doing a 10 seconds of gratitude at the beginning of all of our IG lives, and really it's just an opportunity to just kind of block out the noise and, just kind of recalibrate and appreciate the great things that we have in life. So if you'd like to join me, let's do 10 seconds of gratitude together. All right. It never fails, guys. And I'm grateful for a lot of things. And one of those is for sure my guest, Yaya Gorbani. So without any further ado, I look forward to patching him in. Los Angeles, California. I'm excited. This is my first conversation with him virtually as well. So looking forward to it. Yaya, how are you, my friend?
Hello, brother. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here and gracing us with your energy tonight. It's such a pleasure to actually have an opportunity to eye have this conversation. I hope that the holidays have been treating you well.
Yes, 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 yes. It's been a blessing. Yeah, thank you. Do you see me well? Do you hear me well?
I
I've
do.
never done one of these before, so
All
guide me
right.
through. Yeah.
We're popping your IG live cherry. Great. Okay. So
Mm,
but you're no stranger to podcasts.
yeah.
You and Erfan and produced with Navid have produced such an amazing podcast with some great conversations.
Hmm.
So I really appreciate the light that you try to shine in the world, and we'll get into all that good stuff. But for those who haven't had the pleasure of knowing who Yaya Gorbani is, can you just kind of explain a little bit of your background and also kind of break down what is a psychotherapist and depth life coach, and we'll get
Sure,
the
sure,
conversation started like that.
sure. Before we do that, and speaking of light, you have such great lighting. What do you do?
It's a $10 Amazon light. I'll send you the link.
Send me the link, man. I'm sitting here with this thing right here, so
I'll send you the Amazon link.
yeah, please, please, please. Okay, so I do have a podcast. We were temporarily off air for a little bit, and we're gonna restart that in the beginning of New Year. Nomad Land podcast with my wonderful dear brother Erfan, and our producer Navi. And it's been such a lovely place to meet great souls and learn. So look that up. I'm a registered psychotherapist, associate psychotherapist with the state of California, but mostly I practice depth coaching, which is aspects of psychotherapy, aspects of yogic science, aspects of mysticism, and aspects of coaching, which is about accountability and tangible results. And It's been something that I've created for myself, something that I felt was a more holistic way of approaching the soul. Oftentimes in psychology, we don't address the soul, we don't address the spirit, we don't address energy. And I do believe that these are, well, they're real to me. And it seems like a lot of people that come towards this path and want to give me the privilege of working with also believe in that as well. So we collaborate together and we go on a journey, and a journey of understanding ourselves. Because the idea is that pain is inevitable. It's not something we can ever get rid of. So I'm not here to get rid of your depression or your overeating or your undereating or whatever. These are all excuses to look at so we can get closer to the heart. And that's where the work starts having almost like a Sufi-like approach, where the God is within, the creator is within, the love is within, and everything is just an excuse to get closer to that space. I hope that makes sense.
No, absolutely. What I'm very curious about is what was the catalyst of you having this journey with self, which it started with you and your journey, and you became a believer of it. It obviously helped heal many of your past wounds, I assume, and it got to the point where you want to share it with the world and people are gravitating towards you. But what was the catalyst? Was there a turning point? Was there something that made you go this direction?
Besides my mom and dad messing me up.
Well, when you say it like that, first of all, you're not the only one. As children of immigrants, I think every single person can relate. But yes, I guess so. That's one aspect.
Well, yeah, I mean, how much time do you have, right?
We're gonna
I
go
took a
extend
lot.
the time for you, brother. Missing a delete for it.
uh, well, it's once again, it's like you face a lot of things, and at some point, you almost feel like you can't take it anymore. But then you realize that that's essentially the foundation to build on, that rock bottom that they talk about. So me going through my lessons in my journey, um, through difficulties as an immigrant, being born here, going to Iran, parents divorced. I went to about 15 different neighborhoods and I went to 12 different schools in the first 18 years of my life, different cities, different schools, so these things were rough. Um, and then in my 20s, I encountered a lot of challenges as well. I was in the business world. I tried to chase money because we have such a egoic tie and a cultural connection and attachment to money and prestige, which I thought that's what I needed to do. I chased that for 10 years. And once I got to it, I was like, this is a load of shit. Can we curse here or not really?
Of course, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. So I took a one-way trip. I traveled to Europe for about 9 months. I came back and I restarted my life. And I was curious. That's all it was. I was curious because I thought there was more to life and this just can't be it. I wanted more, and as I kept asking and wanting more, life kept giving me more. So ever since I've came back, I've been a tourist, and that's been with me. And every opportunity is a moment to go deeper into love. Yeah.
If I were in high school, and I know you bounced around a lot, but during those formidable years, 15, 16, 17 years old, if I were to be hanging out with Yaya,
Mhm.
how would you describe the Yaya of that age?
What age did you say?
15, 16.
Lost, lost, lost. It's such a culture shock and even though I was born here and I was here for 8 years, I came back and I didn't know anything. Everything looked different. So my heart goes to people that come here and they don't have any point of reference. I had a bunch of reference and still I, I'm like, who am I supposed to be? Which mask am I supposed to wear? Who am I supposed to hang out with? You don't know yourself, and school doesn't teach us that, and people don't teach us that. And I was lost, but I had the love in my heart, but not an opportunity or enough guidance and mentorship to do something with it. So I tapped into the energy of fear and lack, and I chased that for quite some time.
Um, you know, like a lot of people still right now, they're 15, 16, they're coming here, going through the same thing that you went through. If you could give some advice to another 15-year-old that was what Yaya was, but is going through it right now, based on your experience, what type of advice would you be able to give them so that they can find their way sooner
Mm.
than it would probably took you?
I don't know if I'm in the business of giving advice. I don't even like people who give advice. Um, I think people speak their truth. Um, I think it's about connecting with a part of us that learns to pick and choose the different truths that we hear. So, what I would recommend is to find a way to connect with yourself and your heart. So then find people that can help you connect with yourself. It could be a therapist, it could be a coach, it could be an older friend, it could be a good uncle. People that would show you and mirror you how magical you are, because you are. Everybody is. Everybody is a piece of source. Everybody is divine. Everybody is incredible and gifted and talented and unique. We don't learn these things. School lines you up and says you got to do this and you got to do that. Culture says you got to do this and you got to do that. Parents tell you the same thing. And it's usually good intentions, but what happens is you forget who you are and how much you matter. And the closer you get to realize your magic, the easier it is to dance with life rather than follow orders. So find people that will remind you how beautiful you are, because you are, no matter how ugly you think you are.
I love that. In your, and this is going to tie into my next question here. In your
Mm,
profile, you say, I serve the ones who seek to meet themselves on a deeper level and desire more than traditional
mhm,
therapy. How is the process of connecting with you and wanting to meet themselves on a deeper level with you? Like, what are the kind of questions that you ask
mhm.
to even see if this person is somebody that you want to kind of work with?
I think it's for them to decide, not for me. I'm a servant of their heart. It's not my job to say whether I'm good enough for them or not. They get to decide that. So if my energy resonates with where they're at, then it's always a privilege to join people on their journeys and on their path. And if my energy is not in resonance, then they got to listen to that voice, you know. And I think that's a very important thing to emphasize. Often people in these positions try to tell people what's right from wrong, and I think that creates a separation from people from themselves. I say, listen to your heart and it feels right. And if your body tells you right, honor that, you know, and welcome the pain. Welcome the pain, because I view pain as our angels whispering things to us and guiding us and telling us things. This is what anxiety is. Everybody says, I have anxiety. Listen to that motherfucker, because it has something to say. And the deeper you listen and the more you open your heart to it, the easier you will be guided to where you need to go in order to stand in your truth. Yeah.
You mentioned separation in one of your posts, December of 2020. It was a very nice message about unity, and you're kind of talking
Mm,
about both sides as
mm,
it relates to vaccine and mask mandates.
mm,
It was a beautiful message about division versus unity and how there's energies that we give off. Can you
mm,
kind of unpack that and kind of just dig a little deeper with that message?
mm, mm. So we're living in a very interesting time. It's different. The world is not what it once was, and it will never be that. And we need to understand that. So there's a process of death that's taking place. And death is not necessarily a gloomy thing unless we that's the meaning we make. Otherwise, it's the birth of a butterfly. And that's the stage of life that we are in for some of us that choose to approach life in that sense. So if there is something dying and if the old world is changing and we're stepping into the new, then that gives us an opportunity to approach it in a way that is much more closer to our heart. Are we going to continue with the old way that it's me versus you, black versus white, or are we going to find a way to meet each other in the middle? And every opportunity and every experience is an opportunity to either separate from each other or find closeness. And, you know, oftentimes I feel like what we don't like as others is something that we don't like in ourselves. It's just easier to point fingers at others. And people are our mirrors. I believe that a lot of the people that don't like the anti-maskers are actually mad at something within themselves that they're still not comfortable. Otherwise, it's just another opinion. It's just another point of view. And we got to be careful with how we are treating this new age. If we're going to go into it with this idea of I hate the other side, then that creates duality and it becomes polarizing, and we just separate from people. The idea is, how do we access oneness in any given time? And I think in any given time, there is an opportunity to find something in you that is within me. Because if I'm not doing that, then I'm just finding ways of hatred, finding ways of fear, finding ways of separation. And every time I have those feelings about you, there's something within me that's bothered. So hating you is essentially hating myself. And if I find a way to love you and get closer to you, despite how much my mind thinks I am separated from you, is just another step closer to loving something within us. I hope that wasn't abstract.
No, I fully follow it. My question to you is, how did you, how was your journey through the pandemic? Like when life hit you the way that everybody got hit with the pandemic, when it hit you, what was your reaction? And then how did you navigate through it to continue to find peace, love, and this yearning for unity?
I think there's a popular saying these days in the collective, and they call it a trauma response. I do think I had some level of a trauma response where, because of my background is so used to chaos, that I'm like, oh, it's just another chaotic moment. Just become the best version of yourself. It was some of that, but I also, I, I realized that I have no choice but to welcome it. I had no choice but to look at it, and not to deny it and act like it's not there. And I'm still trying to adjust to it, man. It's still not the easiest thing. But I think every opportunity of chaos is an invitation to find our center and for us to rise. So for me, it's been a journey of how much stronger I can become and how much centered I become, because it's so visible to see what's wrong. Sometimes when you're in a comfortable place, it's hard to meet yourself. So in a sense, it's put me in a position where I had to deepen my spiritual practice, my yoga practice, my meditation. Hey man, I mean, I'm in therapy myself. I have, I always tell my clients this too. I do men's work. I'm in work with brothers. We share, we talk, we laugh, we cry. I do attend workshops. I work with the medicine. I have a spiritual teacher. So yeah, the work never stops. And these are just an excuse for the lover to meet the beloved. That's the source, that's God, whatever you want to call it.
With regards to speaking out and being comfortable and sharing vulnerable moments, Persians in general are very guarded, you know. What I know you don't like to give advice and message, you know, but like everything that I try to do at Unite and Conquer, especially these conversations, is really to kind of help other people in our community, the Persians, especially parents, to open up a little bit more. What can we as a Persian community, given how trauma has been passed down to us, you know, because even our parents dealt with their trauma as they were kicked out of the country, many of us. And so what can we as a Persian community do to support each other better, to you know, just be there more for each other? I'm wondering if you have any suggestions in that regard.
Yeah. The way the question is asked, again, it's like, uh, I don't like to go deep into, well, this is what I think you should do. It's like, fuck that. But I'll say this. I'll say what I do for me, and that's for me to heal. That's for me to love myself. That's for me to be the lighthouse. Because the brighter I shine, the more people will benefit from me. The more people will try to follow if they find the light in it. So the best thing I could do is to be as kind, as loving, and as compassionate towards myself. And I think change becomes inevitable in that way. It all starts with us. Clean your room first before try to clean the world. Yeah.
Taking responsibility is one of those things that oh my God, forgot his name. The psychologist from Canada, and
Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson. Oh my God, yeah, like that man has changed the lives of many men. With the core start being taking responsibility and starting with just fixing your bed, fixing your room, and taking responsibility for everything. Tell me what, I'm so excited that you mentioned that, you know, Nomadland is doing a restart, and I'm fully aware of how much draining and challenging it is to do a podcast. I took 3-4 months off. Now that you guys are coming back with a clean slate, what are you hoping to accomplish with Nomadland, and like what are like some of the topics that you guys want to be talking about? If you can give a sneak peek on like guests, perhaps, just kind of like for Nomadland fans to kind of get an insider peek of what to expect in 2022.
Yeah, me and Erfan sat and we had a conversation, and we're like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? We're talking to people that we don't even really care about, but it's good. You know, it's probably what people like. And sometimes I'm just sitting, like, no disrespect, this is my own thing. I was sitting with guests, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, what are we really talking about? And we that's and the podcast just naturally died that way, died down, we should say, and paused. So what we're going to do is to talk people that make our heart feel blasted open. You know, that's what it comes down to be passionate about what you do and who you talk about. Now, the challenge with our show is that it's a 2 mic show, and it's 2 A mics, right? So that can create a challenge, because he may have this other approach, right? And I have another thing, and he's going to go somewhere else, and I'm trying to go somewhere else with the client and with the guest. So what we decided to do is for every other show, somebody leads, and the other one is just the servant of the show, and essentially just maybe laughs a little bit louder or just asks a question that is related to the A mic, and they're going to bring the person that they want to bring on. So we thought this could be a very unique approach. I don't know if it's been done before or not, but we felt that's going to be fun. It's going to create passion, and it's going to be new, and that's coming up.
Are there particular topics that you personally enjoy talking about or learning about?
Yeah, for me, it's mysticism, and how basically any experience can somehow be translated and shifted back into the heart space. That's kind of what gets me, my juices flowing. It's about love, it's about spirit, and it's about healing. That's usually the stuff that excites me. And for Erfan, it's a lot of science, and he likes photography, and he's an artist, so he does music, so he brings that extra bling and flash into our lives too, and poetry, and we also have a lot of shared interest as well. So yeah.
First of all, I'm looking forward to the podcast. I love the quality production. So shout out to Navid, who I know behind the scenes works very hard to put on quality sound, visual, audio. So a lot of respect in that regard. And you guys are great hosts. I want to transition to the last part being about the yoga part. You know, you're a Kundalini yoga instructor. Tell me how like yoga has positively impacted you. I mean, so many people talk about meditation, and honestly, I try to do it, but like I fall off the tracks all the time, you know, and I know yoga is heavy on meditation, and so kind of just touch on the benefits that it's had on you in the hopes that it gets me excited to do it myself.
Well, first, there's a lot of different types of yoga. So if there's some yogas that just don't have resonance, honor that, listen to that. Don't try to do a yoga that just doesn't feel right to you. And there's so
Mm.
many different ways. And there's so many different kinds. I do Kundalini Yoga because it's in resonance with who I am and how I like to experience the world.
Mm.
So that's the first thing. I feel like yoga centers are modern day temples of places of devotion, places of connection, places of community, you know, and to approach it in that way. So find the community, the type of teachers that you like. It's bigger than just an act of sitting there and doing something.
Mm.
If the energy doesn't feel right to you, fuck it, walk away. Listen to your heart once again. And be a seeker of the right yoga for you, because it's a language and there is an energetic exchange that takes place. Now, if we want to talk about the physical aspect and the energetic aspect, we have about 72,000 nadis, or what is referred to as energy centers in our body. We have trillions of cells, and each cell is light years more intelligent than the strongest computer. We want to activate these. We want to light these cells up. We want to come to life. We want to feel alive, even if it's for an hour or 2 hours a day, because a lot of people are stuck with jobs they don't like, friendships they don't like, relationships they don't like. Give yourself that gift to come into life with the type of yoga that brings your heart alive, and gives you a sense of peace and tranquility. And don't give up on finding what's right for you.
Can you kind of explain, like I've done, like a couple weeks ago I did Vinyasa yoga. I've heard of Kundalini, but can you kind of elaborate on like the form of practice and what differentiates it from others?
Yeah. Thank you for this question, brother. Kundalini yoga is a yoga of experience. Oftentimes people say, well, I don't feel energy, or I don't know what energy is, or I don't really feel a shift. So it's not so much concentrated on the physical aspect. It's about connecting with the energetic body and the spiritual aspect of our existence to the way that it's almost tangible. It's a yoga of experience. It's a yoga of awareness. And it's a yoga that can put you in a trance and make you feel things that it's usually very hard to experience. And with that, it makes it a very powerful yoga. It's very potent. And you often hear about people that are consistent with this practice to create some major changes in their relationships, in their friendships, and the way they relate to the world. It's done through movement, it's done through dance, it's done through laughter, it's done through shouting, screaming, crying, and chanting and sounds. It's the yoga of vibration. And the idea is that in our core, we're energetic beings and energy is vibration. So how can we create a vibration that makes us realize who we are in our core?
Awesome. And right now you're currently having classes like indoor. Is outdoor too, or is your particular type, is it just indoor?
I'm currently not teaching. I'm currently
Oh,
not
okay.
teaching. I just moved. Well, I was doing it online when I was in Orange County. I recently moved to Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
It's been about 2 months. So I'm trying to figure Los Angeles out. It's a very fascinating place. Um, and I think only a matter of the month or two, and the following year, I'll be holding workshops and doing classes every few weeks. Particularly, I think it's important for me to say this. I don't know if it's going to resonate with people. I do feel like us as Iranians, particularly, we've been experiencing a disconnect. We've been conditioned to hate spirituality, religion, God, and a lot of such things. Arabs, let me just say it, that's a fact. And there is a hatred within us that has been as a result of our experience of the revolution and the regime and what's taking place in Iran. And I'm not saying it's justified or not justified, but it's time to meet that pain and to understand that maybe we can heal some of these wounds. And just because something has a spiritual component or has a religious aspect doesn't necessarily make it bad. And we can hate it all we want, but our ancestors have had a certain way of devotion for many, many generations back. And they've passed on a certain blood and a DNA that exists within us. And to deny these parts of us is to deny our ancestors. And I think it's time to return back to our lineage, to our path, to our roots, and to meet ourselves. The idea is in Hinduism, say if you want to go to heavens, you got to first connect to your roots. Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do we do that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I know you don't like to be asked for advice, but
No,
you bring up a very interesting.
well, yeah. I mean, that's a big conversation. There's many paths that can lead us back to the source, but first it takes a willingness. Some people do it through yogic. Some people work with shamans. They work with medicine. Some people do breath work. Some people are just curious and they try to do ancestral work. But it takes a certain willingness to say, I have hate in my heart. I have fear. I'm disconnected. I don't like it. And oftentimes when we say these things, we just end it there, not realizing that that's actually a doorway to so much amazing things. And to become curious about what's behind fear, anxiety, hatred. That's what it's about. And oftentimes it's love and light. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that one of the many steps is definitely through conversations and just bringing it up. So honestly, kudos to you for sharing this. And I think it does resonate. It might rub some people the wrong way, but that tough conversations are just inevitable like that, you know? So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. And I actually do agree with you. And so we all need to kind of work together to address it because love leads the way, right? And so if we can just continue to project that love and unity, at least we would have done our part, you know? And so I would love to continue talking with you, man, but like our time is short. But I just want to say thank you for the positivity and the love and the kindness that you project, especially as an Iranian man. There's not that many people that do it. And so you are a trailblazer in that regards. And I appreciate your profoundness and your interesting personality. It's great. It's good to have that around.
Received, brother, received. Thank you for seeing me, and thank you for reflecting back the light that you see. And I want to thank you for your loving heart, for your wonderful intention, for the way you choose to see the world, and the way that I'm sure life has a way of putting you down, judging you, questioning you, and I'm sure you have a way of seeing it and continue moving on and growing and expanding and connecting. So I really got to thank you for the work that you're doing. And I love our people, man. I love you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Well, I hope it's just the beginning of many more conversations. And you know, you mentioned the importance of community. You're building it through your way. We're doing it our way, and I appreciate you accepting this invitation and being a part of this little community that we're doing our best to grow. I mean, it's meant to benefit not just our people, but really everybody. I keep on saying that, you know, Unite and Conquer is not just about getting Persians together. It's about bringing us together, facing our imperfections so that we can have a better connection with the rest of the world and be of service to the rest of the world. So, man, it's been a pleasure. And honestly, this is why I love what I'm doing. I get to really connect and meet people like you. So thanks, man, for being an inspiration, and much love. And hopefully have a great New Year, and we get to see each other in person very soon.
Love you, man. Have a beautiful New Year. Gang, gang.
Oh, love you too, man. Take care, brother. Take care. And while Yaya is logging off, I want to thank all of his friends and followers that joined. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. And wherever you're watching, wishing you a Happy New Year in advance. Tomorrow, I have the pleasure of having my sister, Sogol Afshar Javan, as the last guest of 2021 and part of the Awesome People Instagram Live series. But 2022 is going to hold a lot more IG Lives and a lot more Awesome People podcasts. So speaking of which, Follow Nomadland Podcast. Follow Yaya. And much love, guys. Take care. Thank you again, Yaya.
Peace.